Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov gang. Our gang members this evening, Sonja Schmidt, conservative political analyst and former Nevada beauty queen. Evan Sayet, America's #1 conservative comedian. He has also been ranked as being among the top 25 influential conservative Jews in America. And Kevin Hand, the CEO and president of Hand and Associates, an internationally recognized consulting firm. He is also well known as being a top-ranked intellectual in his social circles. Glazov gang members, welcome to the Glazov gang.
Howdy.
Thanks,
I would
Jamie.
like to introduce our new gang member, Kevin Hand, and I just want to warn you, as I warn my other gang members, you can check out anytime you like, but you can never
I can't. That's copyrighted.
leave. Hotel California, all right?
Why? Yeah.
Now we can say it, but we can't sing it. What are copyright
That's right.
rules on that? Yeah.
Very quickly, under 30 seconds, Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about Hand and Associates and why you're such an important person?
Why I'm such a well, primarily because my mother told me I was. That's the reason it is. And I will be honest with you. Number one, I'm all about, in my consulting firm, all about employing people in a bad economy. And my book is
So what are you
all
gonna do?
about-
Just wait, let him.
Hold that.
What are you
Hold that. Will you just
What are you
be
gonna do when the
nice and
economy
let me
gets better?
speak?
Okay,
But
okay.
of course.
Okay, go ahead. Just go ahead.
Okay. And my book is How to Find a Job in a Terrible Economy. And it's become one of the biggest hits right now. I've just published it, and it's going to be coming out in just about 3 weeks.
Fantastic.
I
So,
would
what?
buy one if I had a job.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
The economy's not so bad for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first segment of the Glazov gang. This first segment is titled
Don't bang the table.
The True Face of Occupy Wall Street. And the true face, I would argue, is communism reborn. There is a new pamphlet that everybody should get by David Horowitz and John Perazzo, Occupy Wall Street, the Communist Movement Reborn. This is a pamphlet that exposes the leaders, the hidden agenda, and the overall attempt to destroy America by these leaders, and it also shows the root causes of this new radical movement that's waging war on America, on capitalism, and on all free societies. You can go to frontpagemag.com to get this new pamphlet by David Horowitz and John Perazzo. Sonja Schmidt, what do you think so far of the themes I have articulated about Occupy Wall Street?
Well, I mean, obvious to some people, they are a communist movement. I believe they also have anti-Semitic background as well. The problem is I believe that they are going to be heralded, especially with this new campaign, once Obama starts running for president. I mean, that administration does promote this group. They are giving them credibility in a way that is I believe, quite dangerous. You know, Obama talked about, when in the beginning, he talked about his army that he was going to have, that was going to be better enforced, better funded than the American military. And to a certain extent, I wonder if this Occupy Wall Street group is sort of the sloppy formation of that.
Sonja, it's the Occupy Wall Street is back with an ugly vengeance. They just tore through Oakland like a violent hurricane.
I was torn with that one. I didn't know who to root for.
The demonstrators and these degenerates, they broke into the historic Oakland City Hall. They broke a lot of property. They're defecating everywhere, public masturbation, all this stuff, right?
Like
so very quickly,
$200 worth of damage.
Kevin, why is the President of the United States articulating positive themes, as Sonja has said, about such a destructive movement?
Well, I don't think the communist movement ever died. That was your first mistake. Number two, I went to Berkeley, and the SDS and all those kind of groups never, ever stopped being there. And I think people just thought, well, that was the end of the communism after the wall fell down and Russia went capitalist or whatever, went mafia, whatever you call it. But I think the most important... I know, we're all in sunglasses, that's true. I am so sorry about that. No offense to any Italian members here.
And if you were in the witness protection program, there's no better place to be than the Glazov gang.
In reality, it shouldn't surprise anybody about what the president believes in. His philosophy, as we all know, is really to the left and to the far left, and he caters to that. He does not care. He does not care about the country, and he does not care about capitalism. He's a destroyer when it comes to...
So just a sec, he's a destroyer, and so you would say that do you agree that when they articulate these themes of equality and social justice, that the occupiers really aren't about that as they're showing through their actions? It's a destructive force. It's a communist force.
Yes, and that's exactly what it is.
But you're explaining that Obama is on their side in terms of what he's verbalizing because he really believes in a destructive agenda?
Well, I think he does, because in number one, it's all about control and him going to gain as much control as he can possibly get. And when you really think about it, what's this all about? This is about he's using these people. He doesn't care. They'll be the first ones killed after the takeover of whatever anybody else.
Again, I don't know who to root for.
Okay, Evan. Okay,
He's right. I knew he was right.
Okay, 1 second. Now, Evan, before you give us your profound analysis, explain that joke a little bit if people are missing it. When you say you didn't know who to root for, it's just so obvious who the bad guys are.
No, when you got the government in Oakland, ultra liberal, getting attacked by the ultra liberals, who this is one of those kind of like Iran-Iraq wars. You want them both to lose.
Your analysis of the occupiers.
That was it.
But give us your analysis. What is this movement all about?
First of all, let me go to Obama's place in it. Even if Obama isn't a radical Marxist leftist, it doesn't make a difference because there is no difference in the policy and the rhetoric of a liberal, a modern liberal, not a lowercase l liberal, and a Marxist. Obama was asked during the campaign, I think it was during the campaign, he was definitely asked, do you believe in American exceptionalism? He said, I do. Just like I'm sure the Brits believe in British exceptionalism and the Greeks believe in Greek exceptionalism. In other words, he doesn't believe in American exceptionalism. You got to follow this. If America isn't special, if we're not exceptional, how do you explain our being so rich? Clearly, if we're nothing special, then we shouldn't be richer than everybody else. That's unfair. And given that we are the richest nation in the history of the world, we must be the biggest injustice in the history of the world. So simply by not recognizing American exceptionalism, he has to think America is the greatest injustice, and so to rectify this injustice, he has to weaken us. It's not fair for us to be this strong. It's not fair for us to be this powerful. It's not fair for us to be this rich. And this is why he will close down the oil drilling in the Gulf, but send money to Brazil so they can drill. It has nothing to do, they always say they have these high values like environmentalism. They don't care about the environment. They don't care about justice. In fact, proof of the pudding that they don't care about justice is they have to put a modifier before the word. We care about justice. They care about a modified version of justice. They call it social justice. Right? And that's not real justice. Real justice is people get what they work for, what they earn, what they, along with sometimes you may need some help from friends and neighbors and whatnot. But social justice is that no matter what you do, you get an equal return. Because even if you're a criminal, something must have made you a criminal. So it's not your fault that you're a criminal. So justice means that you get rewarded for being a criminal.
I think the danger, though, is that we've had so many generations, so many years of priming this pump of social justice. It sounds so good. And you'd be hard-pressed to give all these people an education. And with that, coupled with a lower economy, people are going to glom onto this group. And I'm really frightened about what can happen as this group grows, and with the administration sort of giving them a pass. Because they're a very destructive...
And not just the
Sonja,
media as well.
This is what I exactly wanted to ask. What are the potential consequences of this? Because this is a very destructive force. There's a lot of these occupiers. You've got the president appearing to pat them on the back. What could be the consequences here?
Well, there's obviously a lot of violence that's going on. There's a lot of personal private property being destroyed. There's a lot of class division. And I think that once those elements clash, you could have a physical altercation. I also think that they're going to be used heavily in this Republican campaign, especially, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, later, if Romney becomes the Republican nominee. I think Occupy Wall Street is primed and pumped to be against Romney for what he stands for, which is basically Wall Street, in their eyes.
Okay, Kevin?
I agree with her, because number one, I think you've got a lot of issues here. Number one, he's got his own little brown shirts that can go out and cause a lot of trouble and cause crises in every city in the country, and he'll support them, and he won't do anything about them. And this is very dangerous, because all you need is a small little group to cause dissension in a country, and you can create a crisis. And
especially when the economy is bad.
Kevin, are you actually implying that when you say they're his brown shirts, that there was actually a coordinated plan somewhere behind the scenes where these occupiers are actually acting on behalf of the Obama
You
administration.
really would think that in this administration?
But-
I mean,
but-
would you ever think that there could be anything planned?
But do you believe that?
Do I believe that? I wouldn't put it past them.
They're planning a huge protest in June. I mean, it is planned. They do have money behind them. What's
George
his name?
Soros, maybe?
Exactly. The guys in the purple
Yeah, but
T-shirts
ladies-
show up.
SEIU.
It's all
Ladies and
SEIU.
gentlemen,
They do plan.
This is absolutely incredible that a violent force that's burning American flags, defecating in the streets, there's rapes, there's public masturbation.
They're dead bodies.
There's dead bodies, etc., that the president could
That's
be
the fun part.
that the president could be giving this a seal of approval.
And that was Tuesday.
For this segment, though, what does this actually say about the left?
I think they're reminiscing about their glorious past of doing this themselves in their youth. This is something that's been perpetuated in
But
their
how
own
do they
lives.
get away with this, and how can the media actually give them a pass on this? This is absolutely incredible what's happening in our culture. I mean, they're harder on the Tea Party and the media.
Not
You
just
don't see
harder.
the
It's all invented. The Tea Party is decried as racist when they're not racist in the slightest. These anti-Semites with dead bodies and rapes and drugs and defecate, and they're the good guys. It's 180 degrees.
Let us have a quick conclusion before we go to our second segment. Your overall concluding comments on what the occupiers represent and Obama's blessing of it.
I'm gonna dissent just a little at the table. I'm not so sure that anything's gonna come of them. I think that they have already so sullied their own name and reputation. Even in Oakland, the government of Oakland is against them. I don't think they're going to be able to control themselves. They're just really mostly bums and addicts and idiots. And I don't think it's going to end up being that big a movement. I got to keep an eye on it. If I'm wrong, we've got to stop it quickly. But I'm not as
But these
so
bums
sure.
and idiots are being manipulated by communists. And
Well, but
radical
when you
left.
manipulate an idiot, all you get is a manipulated idiot.
I'm not so sure. I mean, we know that the greatest revolutionaries of our time manipulated a lot of idiots.
Well, I don't think it's going to be that
Sonja?
many.
Right, willing idiots, useful idiots. I say that I'm afraid. On the other hand, I see their popularity waning. I see the administration sort of pulling back. I think if they can pull their act together, they may be able to pull off being the new American heroes
The occupiers?
in the face of the media and
Uh-huh.
how they're presented, and how with little information that people seek in terms of what is really going on in the world and in politics, and they could be perceived however the media wants them to be perceived.
This is what's so incredible about the left. They're going to destroy everything, but it's always a big question what it is that they're going to create afterwards. Unfortunately, the 20th century taught a very bad lesson.
I think it
Kevin?
did, and I think one of the things you have to realize is that the media is behind these people. You'll see the cover of Time magazine. The person of the year was the protester. I mean, this is already setting it all up.
Yeah.
And if they get anybody in there like a good organizer, and they're
Like a
plenty-
community organizer type guy?
maybe one of those.
Yeah.
It might work.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back.
But I had a
Join us tomorrow, and we will make it. Thank you for joining us for this first segment. Join us tomorrow evening for the second segment of the Glazov gang when we discuss Fired for Islamophobia. We'll see you tomorrow night.